Hi everybody, this is Ali from Comfort Corner, and this is the first of our author interviews, and today I'm with the lovely Lisa Billingham, who is a published author, and Lisa is going to tell us all about her journey from where she was to where she is now. So welcome, Lisa. Do you want to tell us a bit about yourself to start with?
Thank you very much. Thank you for interviewing me, Ali. Lovely to meet you. And what was your dog's name? Because I met him earlier as well.
Teddy the dog.
Teddy.
Everybody knows about Teddy. Yeah.
Oh, bless. My name's Lisa Billingham, or Lisa M. Billingham, as I have self-published my book as. The only reason I did that was because I couldn't get the Lisa.Billingham website. I had to have the Lisa M. Billingham website. So I thought, well, there you go. That's where I'll publish them. I am a self-published author, psychic medium. I am also a qualified wellbeing coach and crystal therapist with quite a lot of experience in admin, sales, business development, all sorts of things, even bar work. Going back in the good old days when you could actually go into a bar.
You know, I think we all did a stint of bar work at some point in our mischievous youth.
Yeah, didn't we? I used to love my bar job as well. I don't drink anymore, but I used to love my bar job. And I keep thinking, maybe I'll go and look for another one of them, but then they closed them all. So it's just thinking.
Yeah. Plus you have to be on your feet all day, which I'm not.
Yeah. I'm too used to sitting on my backside now.
Thank you. Sorry, I interrupted you. So, okay, tell us a bit about your past and what brought you to writing your book.
Quite a lot of varied experiences actually over the years. And I threatened it a couple of times. I said, I was working in the corporate world, and I was chatting to one of my friends one day. So many things were happening in my private life and in my work life. And I just stood there and went, you know what, I could write a book about this lot. Just one of those like throwaway comments as you do. And she said, well, why don't you? And I just laughed. I just went, yeah, whatever. I was so busy. I was just about to, I'd been off work with stress, anxiety and depression already. At this point, I was then due to go into hospital for a hysterectomy, for the exploratory surgery, because they'd found endometriosis. And then subsequently hysterectomy plus another surgery as well. So I thought, well, writing a book ain't going to happen now, is it? When I'd had the surgeries, I then went back to work, but was fortunately then made redundant. So then my journey really started, I think, because I was out of the corporate world, I was on my own, I was kind of free falling, free sailing, and just thinking, well, okay, what now? And in the meantime, I'd done quite a lot of courses. I'd qualified as a coach and a crystal therapist by that point. So I decided to set up a wellbeing business. And I still wasn't right. And I thought, do you know what? I'm not helping anybody, least of all myself. Part of my redundancy, I actually paid to go abroad, which I hadn't done for nearly 20 years. I always fought against it because I didn't like flying. And I said, no, I'll never go abroad again, despite being told by several mediums that I would actually live in Spain, which I did do. So I went to Fuerteventura for a week, came back and started applying for jobs abroad. Because I thought I've missed so much because I've not flown. So I thought, right, this is what I'm going to do. So I carried on with the business. It started just to build up. And then I went abroad and closed it.
Okay.
And I thought, I don't do things by half to me. But it was hard work, though. Working abroad was tough. It was really hard work.
I can imagine.
As the holiday reps, and then I was a holiday rep when I came back because of COVID. So almost it was subconsciously there in the back of my head, write a book. 12 months ago to when I started it, so last March, I actually went on a course to see about actually writing the book while I got the business, because everybody, you need a book, you're going to need a book. And I'm like, but what do I do? What sort of book do I do? And the upshot of that course that I did, I'd thought self-help or autobiography. Well, nobody knew me. Nobody cared, you know, to be blunt. Who was going to read an autobiography for somebody that, you know,
Exactly.
You don't know. And I said, well, the upshot of that was, right, okay, a novel. Because it doesn't impact and name and shame me or anybody else for that matter. And B, because I think I wanted it to be not set in COVID era, it's set in the 90s. And I wanted it to be something that was true to, because it's based on my experiences, but I wanted it to be something that was true to life, that people could actually associate with, and actually also realise that they weren't on their own. Because although it is a novel, a lot of the reviews that I've had are like, it's very true to life, and I can understand what she was going through, and I can see where she's coming from and things like that. And the main character, Katie, goes through a hell of a lot. She goes through stress, depression. She does go through a hysterectomy, and it was some way of getting the cathartic side of it for me in the writing of it, but the helping others in their reading of it. Because
yes, it seems to me you've come up against so many things and been afraid, and then gone, nah, I'm not going to be afraid anymore. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And is that the kind of theme of the book, that this character Katie comes up against these things and triumphs?
Yes, pretty much. Yeah. She struggles. She does struggle a lot. And she finds help in the strangest of places, which is also what happened to me. Suicidal at a couple of junctures in my life. One of them was when I was at school. But then also when later in life, I'd got 2 jobs to make ends meet. I was off at the time with stress. I'd just gone off sick. And it's the strangest things that I had a text message from somebody that I worked with, and not, so I came completely out of the blue. I wasn't expecting it, and I just sat there and I just looked, and it was a gentleman, and he just went, "I haven't seen you for ages, Lisa. You're not at work. Are you okay?" And it was just that text message and I just thought, oh, so somebody does care. And it was just that one thing, and it just sort of, and I just sort of went, okay, so maybe now I need to rethink life, basically. And it was at that point, there's been a couple, there's catalysts all over the place, there's been a couple of things, like when I was at school and later on in life, and that was just like almost like the first smack in the face to say, you've got to do something about this. And then when I was sat on the beach in Fuerteventura the first time I went out there, I just thought, how can I help others without destroying me? And that's what I'd been doing, trying to help others, but actually at the same time I was destroying myself.
Yeah, you've got to get yourself right. No, you really have got to get yourself right first. I could never do what I do now with my coaching and my writing and my courses and all the things that I do if I hadn't healed first. 12 months ago, I was in a terrible state. I call myself an oppressed drone worker, basically, because you just...
it's a good description,
You're just churning through, you're in your safe space, but you're feeling crap about it all, but you haven't got the strength to move forward. And then, like you say, there's catalysts and things happen. For me, COVID came along and I ended up being made redundant or at risk of redundancy. Someone just said, yes, I'll take it. Thank you very much. And you just move on. But during that time, I healed, I found my path, I found my confidence. I realized what it is I really, really wanted to do, because I had the time to think about it and actually meditate and take the time to think about it. And then you're on your way, aren't you? And that,
absolutely.
Describe that feeling. I know it, but describe that feeling for anyone who doesn't. How when you suddenly realize that you're on the right path.
Do you know what? I thought it was just me. I just thought, why do I feel different all of a sudden? It was so bizarre. It was like, and people use this expression, don't you? You get looked at and think, well, it was like an awakening. It was really strange, because it was like, and it was just like, well, how am I even here? I should be actually working in Spain still. I should be in Fuerteventura again. And I'm like, I'm sat in the UK. At the time, it was quite warm, actually, because it was like April time. And it was quite nice. And I thought, it's about right, yeah. But then as it starts to get colder, I'm like, yeah, I'm used to 26 degrees permanently. I don't like the cold. But it's very, very strange feeling. It's a knowing. You do know. It's very weird. You do know. Yeah, definitely. I knew I wasn't. And I could have I had a business in 2017, which I could have kept going, and somebody was going to babysit it for me, for want of a better phrase. And I just thought, am I going to do well-being again? Am I going to do that? And I thought, do you know what? No, I've got to make a clean break, because I'd gone straight from redundancy without having that time that you just said, without actually sitting down and going, what am I going to do? Getting the right advice and going with it from there. I just went all over the place and did all sorts of things. And I thought, this is even worse than before, really, in some ways. Yeah. And I thought, no, stop. And that's why I went to work abroad. I just thought, you know what, leave the lot behind and just go. And that's what I did. Yeah, and I came back.
Yeah, you're on that maniacal search mode.
Yeah.
Where you know you're not in the right place, but you're desperately trying to find what the right place is. And honestly, the only way to find it is to take a step back and let it come to you.
Yeah,
just let it come into your mind, let your subconscious start to really talk to you, listen to yourself on the inside.
Yeah.
Voices from beyond, wherever, however that, your personal belief system. But just stop and smell the roses. Think about, go inside for a little bit. Actually, a lot of people won't do that because they don't feel they deserve to give themselves that kind of time and effort, which is sad, because everybody does deserve that time and effort. Just taking the time to stop and think. So your character, Katie, tell us about Katie in the book.
She's 23 when the book starts. So she goes through, she starts when she's in her deepest depths of depression, and she's struggling to find her next move, if you like, and where life is going to take her, because she's in turmoil, basically. Life is full of ups and downs. She's just lost her grandmother. She's just had to move her house. Because of her grandmother's death, she's moved into another little village, little town, not far away, but she's completely out of her comfort zone in that she doesn't know anybody and she doesn't know the area very well. And she leads a very sheltered life. And she's facing certain obstacles. But then as the book goes on, are those obstacles actually there? Or are they just in here and in here? Yeah. And she does go through quite a tough life, quite a tough time. It's set in the 90s, because I thought I'd started to do several courses when I came back, just thinking, well, what should I do to pass the time more than anything, because I wasn't working. And I knew I was going to write a book. So I thought, well, I've got to get it right. So just, look at these courses and then look at setting your characters and things like that. So it all came together from the courses that I'd done. From the one that I'd done previously, I'd got all the notes on that as well. And I sort of sat down and thought, well, everything was about COVID and 2020 being what people presume is a horrible year, but I think it's been life-changing in more ways than one for a lot of people. But I thought, I don't want it set in this time. So I started to do research for the courses I was doing, strangely enough. And when I did it, I thought, wow. And it's all memories for me. So it's based on memories, really, because it is based on my experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like 90s music, 80s music. And then, when did the mobile phone come out? When did Google? Because I'm like, oh, she Googled this. And I'm thinking, she didn't, because it wasn't there. And I thought, oh, and it really made me stop and think that all this hasn't been around for that long, really. And she got no mobile phone, so she couldn't contact anybody. And she's got no phone at home. She's got no television, and you think, so she was very, very isolated.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how I was. I mean, I got television. That's all I used to do, was drag my backside out of bed and watch television.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, there comes a point where I've got to stop this. And when I went abroad, I worked abroad twice. Both times, for whatever reason, neither of the television sets in the apartments I lived in worked. So it meant that I actually went skinny dipping at 7 o'clock at night when I was in Menorca. Not so much in Fuerteventura, because when I was there it was too cold. But I'd go for a walk at night, or you basically, I was 3 minutes walk from the beach if I got to move on. And I just think, you just couldn't replace that. And the lifestyle was amazing out there, because it's so much more relaxed. I mean, I worked for a big travel company, so it was hard work when you were working. And it took me 3 months of working probably 10-hour days, banging my head against the wall to actually get the job in my head. Mm-hmm. Once I actually started to enjoy it then. And I thought, I need to do more of this. Yeah. I need to do more of this. I need to realign myself.
Yeah, exactly. With Katie, the book Katie, A New Chapter, is the first in a series of books, I understand.
Yes.
So will you be doing a Katie abroad kind of?
Oh, there's an idea. Whoa.
That just captures all that sunshine. You can relive it in your mind again.
Oh yes, can't I? Oh, I've gone. I'm there.
So how did you envisage the series of books?
My plan was to do each character to have their own book. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, shall I do that or shan't I? And like you just said, take a step back. So I'm going to take Christmas, because the reviews that are coming back are, I was disappointed because I don't find out what happens to her, or, that wasn't what I expected. Is she okay? And is she going to do this and that? And, and I thought, so that had the desired effect, because I thought if they don't buy into the character, there's no point me writing any of the other books. If they do, then obviously then I can plan the remainder. But I've got 5 books planned in my head, because each of the main characters I was going to write from their point of view, but in the same timeline.
Okay.
So still set in the 90s, and still pretty much starts in 91 and finishes in 92. So I was going to follow the same sort of path, so that you can see what they're thinking from their point of view, because they're obviously helping her, but at the same time they're going through their things as well. But 90% of it will be based on my experiences again, but told from like a different perspective, if you like.
Brilliant.
That's the plan. So I'm just going to try NaNoWriMo. I don't know whether you looked at NaNoWriMo. There's an organisation that does. They do quite a lot of different things, young writers and things. But they do in November they do a challenge where you write a book in a month. So you literally like solidly focused on writing that book. And I sat there and I thought, I'll do that. But because I published in November, and I have constantly been marketing it since, I hadn't got the brain space to even think about doing another one. And I thought, well, if I do the second one and people go, well, actually, no, either rewrite it or bin it, then there wasn't much point. So I'm thinking now in my head, maybe if I have the Christmas break and start in January to actually plan and write the second book, because I think we'll still be in pretty much locked down.
Probably. I must admit that's
January,
how
so.
I write. I do my plan, and then I'm just so totally focused in it whilst I'm doing it. I mean, the 3 books that I've written have all been written and published since September. So
Wow.
I do kind of a bit prolific, to be honest. But I mean, 2 of them are guides, so they're only, they're more guides than actual books. So there's Coaches Resource Directory for coaches, Nailing Your Niche for small business owners and coaches, and the children's book probably took the longest, which is about based on my grandson and my dog Teddy. What will Charlie and Teddy do today? So that, but the joy of that for me, that the children's book, it's just something that I'd always wanted to do, and to be able to actually sign copies to my grandchildren for Christmas presents.
Yes, of course.
Just amazing. But no, that's me. This is about you. So what is next for you, Lisa? You're going to have your Christmas break.
Oh yes, I had my birthday off, which was beginning of December, so I had I had a long weekend there, and I sat there and I thought, when you suddenly stop and then you do feel, while you're still going, you feel okay. When you actually stop, you feel totally exhausted. It's just, and I thought, all right, I'm going to carry on, like obviously do as much as I can up to Christmas, have the Christmas break, and then come back fresh in January and really start to actually plan mainly the next book, speaking events. I've got a couple planned for January, and restart the mediumship, because I had a break from my mediumship as well. So I'm looking at restarting that in January as well.
So for people who want to contact you about speaking, or about your book, or about your psychic and spiritual readings, how do they get in touch with you?
My website is the easiest way, or my email address is lisa@lisambbillingham.com. I am on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, all over the place. But the easiest way, I haven't. When I had the business before, I actually had a mobile phone just for the business, and I haven't published my phone number because it's my personal number, and I'm like, I don't want that massive crossover. And then once, obviously, if people send me an email or a contact form or Facebook message or whatever, then I'll set up Zoom meetings or telephone calls from there.
Brilliant.
That's the easiest way at the moment.
So the last question is, if you had one tip for somebody who really wanted to write a book, and had had it in their mind for years to do it, and have never got round to it, what advice would you give them?
Just write.
Just write. Just do it.
Just write. Just do it.
Go for it, man.
Just do it. Just write. I wasted so much time really with it, and then I sat there and sat over the years. I've been saying it for a long time, and it's like they say, you can't edit a blank page. So if you've got ideas, and they may just be ideas, and you just need to get those ideas out, those characters out, those thoughts out, and eventually when you come to edit it, it will start to look like a book.
Exactly. And like you say, you've done a fair few courses as well. So I like the structured approach to writing. I tend to do the blueprint of how I want it to look, what it's, start from the end and work backwards, sort of thing. And then and then develop characters. And for me, when I do that, the book starts to write itself. In a weird way. It's like the characters actually start talking to each other, which is really spooky. But they do, in your mind, they start creating their own story. So I think you're a natural writer when that kind of thing starts going on in your head.
Yes, I tried to get the characters to do certain things, and I've cut a lot of stuff which I've put in to do like the later books. So I think I've probably got about 8,000 or 9,000 words that I've taken out of this book. And I looked at, I mean, I haven't looked at it since I published, so I look at it and I probably go, oh my God, did I actually really write that rubbish?
Not at all.
or
It's
I
marvelous.
would go, oh, that's the next book, or that's the next book. So it's all you. And over the years, don't we write a lot? I mean, I used to journal when I was ill, and well, I've got a blog on my website that tells you what I did with it, because I didn't turn it into a book. Which, thinking about it now, maybe I should have done. But then I think, well, it's kind kind of there, because it's actually really in the book that I've written. Exactly. in some ways, because that's very cathartic in writing. Even though it's been written as a novel, it's still very cathartic in writing it.
Of course it is. And for anybody who wants to get Katie a new chapter, it's on Amazon. It's in ebook and paperback, and there is a link to it from Lisa's website, which is lisambbillingham.com. So just call in and have a look. Lisa, thank you so much for your time today, and for speaking to me. It's been an absolute pleasure. Keep us posted. Let's catch up again in a few, when your next book is ready. We'll have a chat about how it's all gone for you.
Brilliant. Right? Yes. Thank you, Ali. Take care. Cheers. Thank you. Bye. Bye.